Hello, my name is Zaria Fluellen, and today I will be discussing the complexity of queer Muslim women. To define queer Muslim women, they are seen as a group of women who belong to LGBT community and the Islamic community. As we explore how the group navigates through their oppression and their experiences, we will see through examination how it impacts their communication within in groups and out groups, and seeing how they're influenced by the discriminations they face through their sexuality and religion. Through the complexity of queer Muslim women, it examines the societal pressure that impacts how this group navigates through sexual and religious discrimination, and how the queer Muslim women are portrayed within television, where their representations of their intersecting identities affects all in-group members. To understand queer Muslim women, there is a need to put ourselves in their shoes and to comprehend how the group is impacted by marginalization in their identities. Within the literature review of the academic perspective paper, it highlights how in-group discrimination, intersection of religious and sexual identities, and safe spaces for queer Muslim women are the reasons of being challenging to live within an intersectional identity that goes against hegemonic practices in a heteronormative society. Within the group community discrimination, they face a double bind primarily, and it causes them to face isolation and psychological and emotional burden from LGBT and Islamic communities. They also lack a sense of belonging and selfhood through their identity, so they have to challenge against the dominant narratives through the stereotypes that are placed on queer Muslim women. And lastly, they have a need for positive impacts through social media and the internet to face the discrimination of Islamophobia and homophobia. Through intersection of religion and sexual identities, they face rejection that increases negative experiences, and it affects their cognitive dissonance and along with increasing mental and emotional distress. And they have issues with finding compatibility within their religion and queerness simultaneously, since they get judged from both sides of their communities that they lie in. And they try to avoid internal conflict as they experience negative situations in LGBT and Islamic communities. Lastly, the need for safe spaces of queer Muslim women is a solution that can help them be accepted in their multiple identities through examples of interfaith queer camps, meetings with various religion leaders, and talks held at cafes or at public spaces that can allow them to share their experiences. Having group identification allows for queer Muslim women to have a positive self-esteem and better experiences in their in-group and out-groups. The importance of these findings allows for understanding of queer Muslim women as they find comfort in their groups in the LGBT community and the Islamic community. Within chapter 8, it showed how the social identity theory is based off group identification, and it affects the self-esteem, self-identity, and it shapes the norms and behavior. So for queer Muslim women, they're impacted by their negative experiences, and it causes them to have low self-esteem, a lost sense of identity, and it shapes how they interact or behave around their in-group or out-group members. Within the analysis of media and group culture of the media representation paper, it examines how queer Muslim women are represented in television and how their identity as a group influences the audience. And by dissecting the issues of gender, sexuality, and religion through the 2017 drama series The Bold Type, it highlights how the character Adina Al Amin is a queer Muslim woman who is affected in her group and outgroup member interactions and societal stereotypes. Within the qualitative analysis, it observes how Adina's interactions within her in-group and out-group members influences how she's perceived. She faces much rumor and gossip. People use code words and ethnophiliisms around her, and there was a lot of language bias that led to negative incidents where she was insulted, she was threatened, there was police brutality, and there was violence. The findings included are important to how language is used and how is important for Adina's character as she faces external conflict through stereotypes and societal discrimination. Within the quantitative analysis, it demonstrates how many positive and negative interactions Adina faced within the show. The graph had showed that she had more negative than positive interactions, and it brought visibility to how Adina's multiple identities led to oppression on different levels. And it is important to focus on how Adina's experiences are more likely to be negative from her multiple identities and how she embodies it as a character to create a sense of individuality and stand firm in her identity to challenge the norms of society and influence her audience to do the same. The importance of understanding how queer Muslim women come from validating their emotions and learning from their experiences in an outside perspective. The intersectional struggles that queer Muslim women face impacts all members as there is a need to advocate for their rights and spaces for them as a marginalized group. Queer Muslim women are very vulnerable in members of their faith, but they are also invisible in the queer and LGBT communities where they cannot express themselves freely. And in a world where queer Muslim women are existing, there is a need for them to be celebrated for being themselves, like other groups that have multiple identities. Within this, the takeaways are to understand how intersectionality is connected to the identities that overlap and create various levels of discrimination. There's an importance of understanding how social identity creates comprehension for the constructiveness behind experiences, opportunities, and barriers for different groups. And it is also important to pay attention to how you, as an audience, interact with your in group and out group members in terms of prejudice and group individual stereotypes, and making sure to call people out for it to allow people to be within their own identities. I appreciate you for watching. Thank you, and have a good night.